We're halfway between Greenland and Baffin Island in northern Canada, and just over there, about 10 miles over that way, the surface of the ocean is actually frozen. You know, there's pack ice over there. The ice chart shows that, and you can feel it in the air as well. The air's just suddenly got this really cold bite to it. There's a whole lot of different bird life. There's little dovekies, tiny little birds about this big. They look like little chickens, and they try and run around and run off the surface of the water and fly away whenever we get too close. So we left Greenland 4 days ago, and we're just pulling into Pond Inlet in Baffin Island now. And that's actually the start of the Northwest Passage proper. It even says it on the chart plotter at the end, Northwest Passages. And I guess the months leading up to this have been kind of like training ground, gradually being introduced into ice and all that kind of stuff. For the couple of weeks ahead, it's going to be probably the most trying part of the whole trip, I imagine. A lot of things to look out for, but kind of excited as well. Should be a whole lot more wildlife. Better take off the Greenland flag and put up the Canadian flag again. We're heading into Canada. And the Q flag, the yellow flag, it's called the Q flag. And you put that up when you're coming into a country for the first time. It just lets customs and immigration and people know that, you know, this is your first port of call, and they've got to come and check you in and check you're not smuggling any drugs or anything like that. So we just went ashore here in Pond Inlet and got cleared by customs, and then walked about 10 metres up the beach and bought a massive Arctic char for dinner. I can't believe how many and how thick these fillets are. Look at that. Arctic char, yum yum yum. Nice. So right next to your hats and bum bags you've got fox pelts.
We're just waiting here on the beach for the diesel tanker to come and fill up all our diesel stuff. So we've got about 300 litres that we need to complete the first half of the Northwest Passage. We've got our turtle-pac 100 litre flexible fuel tank in the dinghy that we have to fill up. That holds 100 litres. And then we've just bought heaps of jerry cans to fill up as well.
Cool, we've got a bit of a halo around the sun here.
Look, there's a fog boat over there. We're in narwhal territory, but it's so foggy that I doubt we'll see any.
So we're going to practice our shotgun to make sure A, that the shotgun works, and B, that we know how to use it. Jess has never fired a gun before, so that'll be interesting. Obviously it's for polar bear protection, self-defense. Basically we'll bring it with us and hope to never have to use it, I guess. And I got the water. It splashed over there. Yeah. Chill all the way until quick. Yeah, and make sure it's in your shoulder good and hard.
Yeah. Oh.
Noisy?
So noisy. I didn't like that. Whoa. Wow.
There's killer whales just all around the boat. So, just like coming up under us and looking at us.
Whoa.
There, look.
Oh, there he is. Whoa. Wow. Uh-oh. Oh my god. Whoa. There he goes over there. Wow.
So here we are in Bay, and we've just pulled ashore. I'm going to have a bit of a walk around all these glacier beds and all that kind of stuff. We just got to keep an eye out for polar bears. We've actually got, pretty funny, have a look at this. I've got a spare inflatable dinghy, one of those little toy 80-buck two-man row around the pool thing. Just because apparently polar bears have a nasty habit of shredding inflatable dinghies, then we'd be stuck ashore with no way to get out there, which would be a nightmare. Looks like some kind of fossilized, maybe wave patterns from the sand or something like that. There's some polar bear tracks along here. That's the heel, and then the toes in there, claws. There's a bigger polar bear print there, big palm there, toes.
We often stopped at glacier streams to collect fresh water for teleport. And on this particular stream we went for a beautiful walk to try and walk up to the glacier, but after an hour walking it just didn't get any closer, so we went back to teleport.
Well, we've just sailed as far north as we're ever going to sail. 73 degrees, 52 minutes north. That's a long way north. If we went south this far, under Australia, we'd actually be about 400 miles inland of Antarctica. So that gives you a bit of an idea. So I guess it's all just downhill from here, which is great.
Chris spotted a polar bear just over there.
We just came ashore here and the whole hill here is full of whale bones. I thought they were beluga whales, but they're bigger. More like a bowhead whale maybe. So we're struggling with a bit of a conundrum at the moment. Trying to work out if we should leave or not. It's blowing an absolute gale out there. It's quite frightening out there. But we're safely at anchor. But you know, we'd like to get out of here and sail south. We've got to keep going, and there's about maybe 5 hours of this bad weather, but then if we go far enough south we get to good weather and we can sail happily onwards. But it's just, you know, getting out of here and we'd be sailing straight into a wall of fog. To make it worse, we've left a camera ashore doing time-lapse photos, so we've got to go ashore in the dinghy to pick it up, and it's just crazy white caps out there.
So we've decided we're going to make a dash for it, otherwise we'll be stuck here at Port Leopold for about 4 days. So we're going to go ashore quickly to grab the camera that we left taking time-lapse photos, and then we'll come back and, yeah, try and head out there.
Oh, the weather was so crazy. We got in the dinghy and headed off and just going pound, pound, pound through all these waves. We're in our dry suit, but still. And eventually got close enough that I had to then row because it was too shallow, and got in there and jumped ashore and ran out there with the gun going, ah, where are the polar bears? Because we could see one way in the distance. And then I couldn't find where we left the camera because the waves had come in and moved it or something, and eventually found it. Actually, I spotted the battery pack first. Bits of it, bit of a tripod. And the camera itself has literally been mauled to pieces by a polar bear. So we're at Port Ross at the moment, and we got in last night and went ashore. There's an old outpost from the Hudson Bay Trading Company there. And we went ashore and you have to lift out all these wooden boards, so they've got the whole door boarded up so that bears and things can't get in.
Yeah, and inside they have a guest registry, so we and it dates back to the, what, 1980s or something?
Yeah.
Even further, yeah, so we got to sign that, which is pretty cool.
All these different yachts that have gone through and things like that. And then we came back here and now we're just about to have breakfast, some more porridge, and then we're going to try and cut through Ballot Strait, which is a pretty crazy bit of water. With the currents get up to about 8 or 9 knots, and there's rocks that are just submerged and all this kind of stuff. It's pretty notorious. Well, we've just entered Ballot Strait, and I think we timed it just perfectly with the tides. It's about an hour 45 before high tide, so the current is just still ripping against us a little bit, which gives us a bit of steerage around the dreaded Magpie Rock, which is just over there. We just passed it. And now the current should slacken off and then pull us through the rest of the 20 miles of passage up here. Whew, scary stuff. There's crazy waves and current going past, but...
So we're just passing the most northerly point of the Canadian mainland, just over there.
We just woke up this morning and there was a polar bear sitting here, just a small young one. And as we rowed over, he sort of went, oh, and ran away, and then came back, and he's really curious. So we've just had an interesting thought. We might actually try a different route through the Northwest Passage, because this summer so much ice has melted that it's actually opened up a completely new option. Now normally people come down and they go through Franklin Strait and around King William Island to Joelhaven, and then across the Queen Maud Gulf into Cambridge Bay, because this whole area is normally filled with ice. But it's actually melted enough that we could possibly go direct from here straight to Victoria Island, which would save us about 200 miles, and it would be going a different way that's more interesting. And yeah, look at the ice chart. Normally this bit's all totally full with ice, so you have to go around this way, but now you can see it's all melted back. That's less than 1/10 ice, so we can easily get through that if we keep an eye out. So we can just go direct from here to Cambridge Bay instead of the long way. So we're just doing a bit of spring cleaning this morning. I've gone around and scrubbed all the green weed that's growing on our boot stripe around the hull, and Jess has cleaned out the fridge, and we're now filling up with more diesel from our flexible fuel tank.
And we're just about to patch up some holes that the sail has.
There you go.
Oh, thank you.
Well, we just got ashore in Victoria Island. Pretty stoked to be here. We got in really late last night, or actually really early this morning. Pretty cool, I haven't been here in 3 years, so it's good to be back. That's pretty cool. That's an old Inuit tent ring. So they used to use these big boulders to weigh down the edge of their caribou skin tents during the summer months when they didn't have their igloos. Look what we found, some quivit. It's a muskox wool, the warmest wool in the world. It's so unbelievably fluffy and warm. You can put that in the ends of your gloves and your fingers just stay nice and toasty warm.
Yeah.
That was so cool. We just had a tiny little seal, looked like a very young one, just come up next to the boat, play with us, look at the camera, and he came right up to it. It was so much fun to look at the footage on here.
There's ice on everything this morning.
We're pretty excited. We're just coming around the headland now and we can just see into Cambridge Bay.
The moment we've been waiting for such a long time.
I know, and it was foggy this morning and we were like, oh, we won't be able to see anything, but the fog's lifting and we can see, so happy.
Very excited. We finally made it into Cambridge Bay.
That was awesome. As we came in, my friends were already on the wharf and they could catch our lines for us, which was really nice and welcoming. And since then, pretty much the next day, it started snowing really badly and the temperatures have just plunged. So we're pretty happy to be here. So we've just started building our cradle for teleport here. Our friend Wilf already had all the wood for us and we've just been measuring it all up and cutting it with chainsaws and circular saws and slowly building up all the pieces. And today, hopefully, if we can just get enough bolts and start bolting it all together, we'll have a freestanding structure by the end of the day. The final piece of the puzzle really are these adjustable pad supports, so on the 4 upright parts of the cradle. So when we finished building the cradle, we tied it up to the back of this guy's truck and dragged it all along the airport road out here to this hill and put it here beside the water. And we just kind of mowed it around and came up and grabbed the spreader bars and started to lift the boat. And Jess actually spotted that the back foot of the crane started to lift off the ground, like the whole thing was overbalancing forward, and so they very quickly put the boat back down again. But in the end we decided, oh, alright, whatever, we've got to do this somehow. So we pulled the boat in right close on the rocks basically and then lifted it up, and it all went perfectly and managed to kind of neatly guide the boat around down into the cradle, lowered it down perfectly, and it fitted like a glove.
We just borrowed these awesome ATVs and rode up to Mount Pelly, and now it's absolutely freezing and it's snowing.
So it's been a hell of an adventure, hell of an experience getting here.
Certainly a lot of challenges along the way with ice, navigation,
and weather, and the
watches, seasickness.
Just, I guess the remoteness of the whole thing is like, you know, you've got to be entirely self-reliant and pretty stressful actually. I've got to say it's probably the most stressful thing I've ever done, including all of like Victoria Island crossings and that kind of stuff. But it makes you, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yeah, and I mean, it's been amazing for every, you know, setback and challenge that we've had. The rewards have been absolutely astronomical.
Like all the wildlife and the
scenery, the sunsets, the sunrises, the ice. I mean,
icebergs.
Yeah, it's just been absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I'm glad we decided to do it in two seasons.
Yeah.
You know, most people try and sort of race through the whole thing in one season, but I guess being photographers, you know, we wanted to stop and take some photos on the way. But I'm so glad we did that.
Yeah, definitely.
In a couple of days, we'll wrap some tarps around it, and then that's it.
Yeah, we'll fly back to Australia and keep working for the rest of our Australian summer, and then we'll fly back Northern Hemisphere summer and continue the journey through the Northwest Passage.
Yeah, and onwards home to Australia. So we've just had an interesting thought for a change of route, a new passage through the Northwest, but that doesn't make sense. So we're struggling with a bit of a
just passing the most northerly point of the Canadian mainland. Can I do that again?
That's pretty cool. So we're about to get...
We just borrowed these awesome... what are they called?
ATVs. Alright. There's a pretty cool right there.